I should have put on my dragon onesie. That'd have been awesome. If I had known.
Yeah, recovery. Yes.
When when this all starts to really come together and I'm super rich, I'll fly you in and we'll wear like matching onesies and do a live podcast. It'd be awesome.
That would be a hoot.
That would be fantastic. Oh my gosh. Jot that down.
Yeah, right.
There's really not a secretary over there. I'm just pretending. A producer. No, it's just the closet. But it will be. You just wait.
Just the secretary in the closet.
Right. For now, just write it down, Martha. All right. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do. So I'm just going to introduce you and kind of myself. I'm always like, I'm your host, Leslie Cook.
Okay. What's up? Like, huh? What does the schedule look like? How far out are you for, 3 episodes?
Oh, okay. So this week is Samantha. So
okay.
She was posted today. You are the 3rd Monday. Do I have my phone? I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you the exact date.
Yeah, if you can tell me the date, that would be great.
Yeah, and I always let people know ahead of time. And then I always preview it on TikTok. Like I'll take a little clip and post it like a 30-second clip and I'll @ you in it.
Okay.
So you'll know. Okay, so what's today? The 7th. No, tomorrow's my birthday. Today's the 7th.
Birthday.
Thanks. I'll be 44. So today's Samantha. Next week is Sam. Connor, you're the 28th.
28th. Okay, yeah. So
you're between Christmas and New Year's when you'll be posted.
Okay, so I'm going to be traveling to Oregon for New Year's, and that's going to be on the 28th.
Okay.
Let me look at my schedule and get back to you on that. I might have to postpone it a week. If that's possible.
This is this. What we're doing right now will be posted on the 28th.
Oh,
You're
okay.
Episode 6. Yeah, because I did 3, 4, 5, and 6 today. I am like.
Okay, I thought this was like a preliminary interview for sharing my story. Well, no. Hi, everybody.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so, and what I'll do is I edit this part out until we get to, hey, welcome to episode 6 of the recovery scene.
You don't have to edit a thing. I don't give a darn.
All right, you heard him. We're keeping this. Well, okay then. Welcome to the episode 6 of the recovery scene. Obviously, you're over here. So, no, he's over here. Right. I cannot get used to this.
You're right here.
I'm right there. You're over here.
The screen's below mine.
Oh, nice. How do you do that?
I don't know. I don't know how Zoom works.
Speaker view. Mine will only do the side-by-side thing. Oh, no. There. Okay, so I'm little and you're big.
You're big and I'm little.
Oh, neat. Look at that. Okay, this is cool. I'm going to do this one this way because it's different. So I have Bobby Opp with me today for episode 6. Just a reminder, as you just heard, addiction is messy and it's not always pretty. So there could be triggering stories. There could be things that you may find upsetting, disturbing, disgusting, whatever. There could be cuss words. So if you are in the family room with your, 5-year-old, you might want to send them to go play or watch this later. Hey, if you let them stay, whatever happens to them is up to you. It's your fault. It's not ours. All right. So I am going to let the obviously very fun Bobby Opp take it away and tell us your story. How'd you start? Who are you? What happened?
I will start from the very beginning.
That's the greatest place to start.
Yeah. My name is Bob. I grew up in a small town in northwest Montana, Columbia Falls, and very heavy addiction culture. When I was 14 years old, I started smoking cigarettes. Started with that, getting into my dad's liquor cabinet. My stepmom at the time was, unbeknownst to my dad, an opioid addict. And she had tons of prescription bottles in her cabinet in her bathroom. And I got into them one day thinking, what are these?
Right.
And I got into her Lortabs and her Vicodin, and I was hook, line, and sinker from that day. It's got heavy into pills, smoking pot, smoking cigarettes, boozing, and did that for years. And then once I went off to college, I adopted cocaine into the habit, and so much, like, so many bad decisions made. But yeah, and then I met my ex-wife in South Lake Tahoe in 2009. She also is an addict, and I believe that she's working on herself, and I can just only hope the best for her in her journey. We were married for 10 years. We had 2 amazing kids together, my daughter Charlie, who's 10, and my son Kanan, who's 9. And they live in Southern California with their mom. And we split in June of 2019, and that is also the day that I chose to get clean and sober as well. We spent 5 years trying to get clean together, ended up relapsing together. My drug of choice was fentanyl, and
oh wow,
yeah, and I had easy access to it. I was making $250,000 a year on average in the oil and gas industry. We bought vehicles, we bought houses, bought furniture, but we had a really good. The marriage was toxic, but we had a really good lifestyle. I mean, us or our kids never needed for a thing. It was a very glamorous lifestyle, I guess you could say. And I remember one night my ex and I were completely loaded. And one of the demons that I was facing at the time was, why we don't have a boat, why we don't have investment money, why we don't have 401ks building, why we don't have a good financial buffer barrier for our family. And verbatim what she told me was, some people buy yachts, some people buy nice cars, Ferraris, some people buy houses and real estate, and some people buy, all these nice things. We like to spend our money on drugs, and that's okay. And the moment she said that, it did not resonate with me. I was like, no, and I didn't tell her that. I didn't want to argue with her about it. But the moment she said that, I'm like, maybe she's not right in this, because I don't feel that way. I feel like there's more to life. And from that moment on, that was about 5 years into our marriage. From that moment on, it made me question just my sobriety. So I started getting clean, ended up relapsing, urged her to get clean. She ended up relapsing, and we did that for 5 years. So the day that I got clean, I packed, I had a camping backpack, hiking backpack, and I packed it full of my clothes and my shoes and my documents. And I started walking from Odessa, Texas. This was in June of 2019. And I was, my original plan was to backpack to Alaska. And I'm not sure if you've ever seen the movie Into the Wild.
No, I haven't.
So it's about a young man who's getting ready to go off to college. His parents are very wealthy, and they want to pay his way. They want to put him through college, buy him a nice car, buy him all these things. And his response to that is, I don't want a thing. What I crave in this life, what I value in this life, is my relationship with other people. So he ended up driving his car, took his license plates off, took the VIN out, had his car washed away in a flood zone, burned all his money, all his documents, and he backpacked to Alaska. He ended up dying in the wild up there. But so that was my original goal, was to
Did he keep a diary?
What was that?
Did he keep a journal?
Did, yeah.
Okay, you know what? I know of it.
Yeah,
I know of it. Yes.
the most amazing movies I've seen. I'm like, well, if he can do something like that, I can. And I about died.
Ignoring the part that he died in the wilderness.
Yeah, ignoring the part that he wasn't on drugs, you know.
Right, and still died in the wilderness. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, basically, that's where my spiritual journey started too. But I backpacked to Salt Lake City, and in Salt Lake City, I stayed at a mission. I stayed at a homeless shelter. They have a very large homeless population there, and kind of threw myself into the culture there, working at food banks, working for different community projects. Met some really good people there. That was one of the darkest moments in my life, I would have to say. I was there for about 60 days before I started backpacking on again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just a very lonely time. Still dealing with the psychological fallout of my addiction. And
how was it physical? Were you going through any physical withdrawal while you're doing this?
While during the backpacking trip, I was, yes. So it took me 45 days to walk 2,800 miles. Some of it was by Lyft. I had vehicles pull over and they drive me 50 miles or 100 miles here and there. But the majority of it was on foot. And when I got to Salt Lake City, I didn't have any money. I had my social security card, my IDs. I had all my passwords and my account information written down in this notebook. And while I was asleep on a park bench, I had my backpack stolen. So I woke up and literally had no phone, no documents, like nothing. Like, it was terrible. So I filed a police report, ended up checking into the homeless shelter, and just slowly trying to find my way through the void. I left Salt Lake City in mid-August, around about late August. I left Salt Lake City and I started backpacking again. Just kept heading north and kept heading west. So I eventually wound up in, it's a small town, population 17, in Big Bar, California. It's about roughly 2 hours west of Redding.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just right on the Trinity River, and it's beautiful. I stopped there. There was a biker gang that had come into town from Redding, and they were camped out at this little store. You can pull RVs in there.
Mm-hmm.
River, you can swim, whatnot. And I was bathing in the river, and I had slept in this thicket. I was eating wild berries and grapes. Motorcycle gang came into town. They actually found me while swimming, and I was just laying underneath this thicket, and they're like, "Hey man, you doing all right? You want a burger? You want a hot dog?" I'm like, "Yes, I would love that." Like, I've eaten like meat in like a month and a half. Yeah, I'd love that. So I ended up diving into the culture there. Very hippie town, and got linked up with a rafting company where I became a raft guide throughout the summer there. Kayak and whitewater rafting and shuttling vans, and just a really amazing experience.
So I'm assuming you found a way to get your license and stuff.
I actually just got my license about 5-6 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. If you see this and you're from that town, it was Trinity River Rafting, and she hired me on. I had my ID, but I did not have my driver's license, and she still hired me on. She's like, "Well, you're only shuttling within like a radius of 10 miles in either direction, so I'm gonna trust you on this one." She's like, "I know you don't drink, I know you don't use, so I'm gonna help you out here."
Wow.
She's like, so yeah, Dana is her name, and just a very amazing human being who gave me a chance, and it worked out really well. Sense of family, sense of community was everything to me then. It still is. And she definitely helped out, like, create just a better place for me, a safe place for me.
Nice.
She's hired people on before that slept on the bench. She has a couple benches that, like, back where the paddles are and the life vests and whatnot. And she's had people, like, kind of stroll through town on their way through, and, like, she's given them a job, and they've slept at her place, at her workplace. And inside on the couch. And but yeah, so I stayed in Big Bar, which was 7 miles. I would walk 7 miles a day to work until I could get enough money for the shuttle. So it was a very challenging time. So many crazy experiences there. Like, where do I start? I fully believe, even though I have not microdosed in a while, I fully believe in using psilocybin, psychedelics to help with depression, anxiety, mental illness. I think it's a very powerful tool. That was a tool that I used 6 months into recovery. I started working with a shaman who taught me how to get into meditative state, how to journey to the Akashic field, where you meet basically all of the shadows of your suppressed trauma and your issues. Basically, what a shaman is a guide that helps you get to the point of enlightenment by dealing with all your past traumas and all your past issues.
Right.
Meeting them face to face. I built a teepee. There is a lady who lives right on the highway there. She was swimming in the river one day and saw me and invited me up to her place, fed me a warm meal. And I ended up building a teepee on her property and stayed in the teepee for a few months and built a hearth outside. I cooked my food. I fished out of the river. I cooked the fish on the hearth. We had a lot of canned goods. She had a lot of canned goods that she let me eat, and cooked those on the open fire hearth. Worked on her property for her, helped her build a retaining wall, some landscaping, just helped her out, helped rebuild a deck. And in turn, she gave me a place to stay and food to eat. Forever grateful for her. She had recently lost her husband, and she's a lover of people. She loses herself in the service of other people, and just an amazing woman. And I am so terrible with names, and while I'm speaking, I'm trying to remember her name, and it's not coming to me, and it's really pissing me off.
Right. You'll remember it after. We'll be done, and you'll be like, damn it was Susan, or whatever.
Right.
Exactly. And it's fun. I mean, you're just barely into your story, and it's like, to me, it doesn't matter. I tell people, I'm Christian, but it doesn't matter to me what, people can call it the universe, people can call it, whatever you want, because if we're the biggest thing going, we're so screwed.
Yeah.
But
there's something bigger. Yeah, there's something bigger.
And your story, even just up till now, is such a clear example of it putting people in your path. Like, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, it's neat. Okay, keep going. I'm sorry. It's just so cool.
No, you're fine. So yeah, I worked on her property for a little while, and she has an 18-year-old son named Nick, who also worked for the rafting company, who was getting into tattooing. He's like, hey, you want to be my canvas for tattoos? I'm like, well, sure. I've always loved tattoos. So he ended up doing my sleeve on this side at no cost, and I've got
wow,
flower rose. I've got an eclipse sun and a Chinese dragon and a bunch of work here. He's an amazing dude. I hadn't talked to my kids, any family. My family was really worried about me. My kids were really worried about me. They didn't understand why I wasn't present in their lives. So this was, I want to say September, November of last year, so about a year ago. My brother reached out to me on Facebook, my younger brother Daniel, and he goes, bro, like, where are you? Like, what happened with your life? He's like, he knew that I was an addict, supported me through it. My ex definitely isolated me from my family. Always felt that they didn't accept her for who she was. They were very accepting of her. They didn't want any part in it because they knew I was struggling in addiction. And it was just, we couldn't develop healthy relationships together with her family or with mine.
Right.
And my brother reached out to me and he was like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in the middle of nowhere, Big Bar, California, population 17, pretty much sleeping next to a river." And that's when he's like, still didn't have my driver's license at this point, still didn't have any documents at this point. He's like, "I'm gonna get a hold of Mandy, our sister, and he's like, I'm gonna figure out a place that you can stay because winter's coming and you can't be sleeping on a river in the middle of winter." And I was like, okay. So between my sister Mandy and him, they bought me a bus pass from Redding, California to New Mexico. And it was very interesting because where he was staying at the time in New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico, alien capital.
Right.
I had backpacked through Roswell previously, 6 months previously on my backpack journey north. So I felt like, even though I was going to be living with my brother Daniel and spending time with him, I felt like I was taking steps. It
backwards.
was the weird backwards, yeah. And I was at war with myself because I originally got him into the oil and gas industry, and I had quit the industry, and that's where he was currently working, and wanted to get me a job. But a lot of it's service work. You have to have your driver's license. So I was trying to get in with a company. It wasn't working out. So we ended up, his lease was up, and we ended up going to, believe it or not, back to Odessa, Texas.
Wow.
Which is
full circle.
Yeah, so it's like, it was a total mind fuck for me because I'm like, so I left Odessa, Texas, and it wasn't like the culture of drugs and addiction is prevalent anywhere you go. Mm-hmm. Odessa, Texas wasn't like a bad place or anything, but yeah, just like feeling like I'm regressing back to old habits and old ways, even though I'm not. Mentally, I felt like I was going back to that dark place. Mm-hmm. Why am I here? I just left this place, and it was to leave a toxic relationship. Yes, but also I don't ever want to be here again. Like, it's not a place I want to be. It brings back way too many memories. So we went to Odessa, Texas, tried getting hired on with a couple oil companies that I worked for years ago. And what it came down to is I did not have my driver's license, so couldn't work there. So then this was last December, after 14 years of not talking to this girl. A girl that I briefly dated in high school reached out to me. She's like, "Hey, like, how are you?" We started talking. Her name is Jennifer, and we reconnected again. She is a recovering alcoholic. She was in the process at the time of regaining custody of her daughters. We grew up in Montana together. And she's like, I'm like, well, I'm in recovery, and I'm not doing too good, basically. She's like, well, I'm not doing too good financially, and with COVID and everything, this is right when COVID hit, last December, January. She's like, if you want to move in and share a roof and pay half the bills, I'd be more than happy to give you a place to stay. And also, it was wintertime again, so I was like, hell yeah. So moved in together. I helped her out financially. She gave me a place to stay. I got a job working the produce department of a grocery store. Yeah, helped her get her daughters back. We went up to Helena, Montana, and she regained custody of her daughters, and now they're back living with her. And that was a really good experience. When her daughters moved back in, I moved out just because her focus is 100% them.
Right.
And really, really glad for her reaching out and giving me a place to stay, because while I was living with her, I was able to not only help her out, but help myself and start paying for child support, start paying my way out of the mess that I put myself in my addiction. Started to work on so I had 2 DUIs in California, was able to pay those off, get them off my record. They pardoned those for me. And yeah, after 4 years of not having a driver's license, was able to get my license back, and recently bought a vehicle and have it registered and tags and insurance and doing all the fun adult stuff. It's like 32 years old and I feel like I'm 16 again. It's the weirdest feeling.
So exciting.
But yeah, just getting my priorities in order and being present for my kids and working on my recovery and my sobriety. I don't believe an addict that is practicing recovery is ever fully recovered. I think it's an ongoing process. It's a daily decision to choose sobriety and to choose to stay clean.
Right.
But yeah, during my addiction, there's just some really dark times, and my goal in sharing my story is to just maybe bring hope to somebody that's battling addiction or struggling with addiction and relapse, and just not knowing like how to get clean. As long as you have that will within you and that drive within you, it's possible to do. Sometimes you have to take it to the extremes. I mean, I know a lot of people that have checked into rehab facilities. I know a lot of people that have gone to the hospital to detox. I don't recommend taking a cross-country backpack trip unless you're in number one, a good physical health, number two, a good financial position.
Right.
But I really cool hostels along the way, so that was fun. But yeah, my goal is to just bring hope to people who are struggling, and because even in my recovery is messy. It's healing, but it's very messy.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm 533 days clean and sober today, and like you said, like whether it's your higher power, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whether it's that sense of community, whatever you believe it is, I mean, it's miraculous that I've been able to stay clean and stay sober, and I'm just very grateful to my higher power for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of roads, there, and I understand that there are people that'll say, no, you can only get clean if you do this, but there are a lot of roads to recovery. Like drugs and alcohol, all paths lead to one destination, eventually. But it's kind of the same with recovery. There are multiple journeys that you can take, and it can be messy. People get clean, or and they wonder how come everything isn't fixed, because your higher power will send you what you need, but you've got to use it. You have to do the work. Like you said, you have to make the decision every single day that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna keep doing this. It is a choice. It is. I don't like to say it's a choice because everybody latches onto that like, yeah, it's a choice. It's a decision to stay sober. It is every day.
I think we're throughout recovery, we're given keys, and this is on my spiritual journey. I've learned that you meet people who give you a key to something, and it's not a physical key. It's like a spiritual key that you can choose to accept or to decline. But that key, it unlocks a specific door, and while you have the tool to open the door, they're not going to open that door for you. You have to open that door for yourself. Like dealing with my DUIs in California, they weren't supposed to be off my record until 2023. And a lady at the DMV that I was talking to had actually stumbled across my TikToks and my recovery journey on TikTok, and was so inspired by my story that she was able to help expunge those off my records. And that was a key that I was given. I was given a key through TikTok, and to be able to share my story and to have somebody in a professional sense help me kind of expedite my journey a lot. I've gotten into energy healings and chakra healings and yoga and meditation and crystal healings, and I visited a witch doctor, and it's pretty amazing. The spiritual path, sober path is one of true enlightenment. I will say that, and it's.
I try and tell people about yoga and meditation all the time. Nobody wants to. I can't do it. I can't control my brain. That's because you haven't practiced. That's why it's called meditation practice. Everybody, every expert sucked at the beginning. You know, every professional was a beginner at some point. It's like nobody
Yes,
ever
I'm no way an expert at all. I'm very beginner, like board, maybe novice, but I wouldn't even go that far. But it's something that I do to practice mindfulness, and it's interesting when you start practicing meditation and yoga, how mindful you are just in your daily life with everybody you come in contact with.
Mhm.
It creates a sense of neutrality when you're dealing with other people. You see, you meet, you speak to, and you see human beings for simply that, a human being, a person with a heart and a soul and a mind, and you learn to treat them with respect and value. And that's something that I never really knew how to do. I was very chauvinistic. I was very prideful. I was very self-centered. Even though outwardly I looked like a good person, I really wasn't. I was very selfish. And so just meeting people and developing my relationships and my sobriety is so important to me for that reason, because I gain something from every single person that I talk to, whether it's the homeless man on the corner or whether it's a coworker or, you know, whether it's somebody in authority or whatever the case may be. I develop an appreciation for so many people through recovery, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not to say necessarily that addiction is a good thing, but I have noticed that for a lot of us who have come through addiction and have made it to the other side, we either have more appreciation for life, more appreciation for community, family, you know, others in general, ourselves, you know, because we were beating the crap out of ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally with drugs and alcohol. I'm the most toxic person I know. yeah, you know, we were like, nobody was meaner to us than we were, you know. Right. So it's like recovery itself is this enlightening experience. And then now I can only speak for myself, but I have noticed this pattern, like, oh my God, now we're hungry for it. Whether it's Kevin, who was my first interview, he devours self-help books. Like, he's all about the like leadership books and the, you know, empowerment books and the self-improvement. Or other people are like, I want more of this spiritual feeling. You know, yeah. I want more of this, you know. And so once we get that feeling of, hey, we can be better, like, you know, and not necessarily in an egotistical way, but right. Just in a, yeah, I had no idea what this spirit, this person, this vessel, this soul was capable of. And now I want to find out, you know.
Amazing. Yes. So there's in my recovery, I started listening to an artist, a musical artist. His name is Trevor Hall. Have you ever listened to any of his music?
I have not, but I'm going to now.
He is amazing. See, there's a song called Karma that he sings, and he's just he's one of the most enlightened people that I know. He you can definitely tell he doesn't speak about too much. I mean, I should listen to more of his podcasts. He has an album where he does speak about some of the darker times in his life. I don't know his whole backstory, but I know it's a heavy backstory because of the music that he puts out. It is some of the most touching music that I've ever heard.
Wow.
So for anybody watching and yourself, a song that you can start with is Karma by Trevor Hall is an amazing song. Once you listen to that song, you're going to go and listen to all of his albums.
Nice. Trevor Hall. Got it. My brain will latch onto it. Don't worry. I got it.
Good one to latch onto.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you say, are you working now or not yet?
Currently, yes. So I do data entry for a COVID testing site.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we put up a couple of office storage units on the Boulder County Fairgrounds location. And I sit in front of a laptop and somebody brings in these registration paperworks, and I just type and print out labels for swabbers.
Oh, wow, that's wild. My
Yeah,
cousin does in Atlanta. He does the, he analyzes the results. He gets the results. He's a scientist at one of the labs.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's just, it's,
But COVID is creating a surge in the medical field. I think that's one of the only good things that's come out of COVID is
mhm,
the workforce behind it.
right. Unfortunately, it's created a surge in drug and alcohol abuse as well. And yeah, yeah, because people are home and they're bored. And, you know, so it's, I cannot remember the exact percentage, but it has gone up. So
I can
stuff
see
like
that.
this.
I thought about that because I've been so focused on my recovery and my self-improvement, but I have had people reach out to me in my life saying that it's really tough for them trying to get sober with COVID.
Yeah, especially if you were new into recovery and you were the kind of person that, you know, went to meetings and wanted to go to meetings and needed those meetings.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, you live in a state that, like, we're in South Carolina. Nothing's locked down, but we won't go there. But the fortunate thing is they can distance, but they can still be at the meetings, you know, because for a lot of people, they had that taken away.
Yeah, I'm very
It's just not the same.
that my recovery journey is a little bit different because I feel like if my recovery began in NA and AA, which I do go to once every couple of weeks presently, but if my recovery journey began there, I wouldn't for 100% certainty to be able to say that I'm clean and sober today, just because a lot of people, like you said, latch onto that experience, that support system. My journey's been a very personal one, very, very inward journey, looking more instead of outward for connection and whatnot.
Right, right. Yeah, many different paths to recovery, you know. And yeah, so and with the holidays coming up and people not being able to maybe go be with family, or even worse for some people, they have to go be with family, and maybe family's like kind of toxic, you know, it can be tough.
Yeah.
You know, but like Connor, I don't know, he's on TikTok under Clean and Serene.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. And he said, you know, you got to have an escape plan before you even go, you know, and sometimes you just have to get in your car and leave. And then there are some people who can, because of mindfulness, because of meditation, because of can just kind of, and disassociate is usually, you know, seen in a negative light, but can kind of just go within themselves.
Yes.
And
yes, I see that dissociation. It can be healthy.
it can.
Definitely. It's one of those fight or flight things, but you're choosing to fly. You're choosing to you know, separate yourself from the toxicity of something that you know it won't be good for you.
Right.
My brother and I are very, very close, and anytime
you guys crack me up.
Have you seen Daniel? Have you seen him in one of my lives?
You're not in your lives, because I just started following you, but your brother edition with the blondes or brunettes, you know, that was he's so awesome.
that was all his idea, but he came up from Texas to visit me for a week, and had a really good time with him. But we try and get together every 6 months or so. But whenever I go see family or friends or meet new people, my safe word with him is pumpkin. If I text him pumpkin, he's like, I'm dropping everything, I'm coming to you. So like you said about that, sometimes you just have to stop what you're doing, leave, disassociate, whatnot. It's good to have people in your corner that know, like, when you make a decision that maybe taken an offense, that they know it's for better purpose.
Right.
Keep yourself strong.
Now, two things: no matter how you recover, a support system, people in your life that are there for you, you know.
Yes.
And it could be one or two people, it could be a group of people, you know, healthy, you know, non-toxic, you know, but was what I mean by healthy. They can eat pizza, it's fine. But I mean, you know, people who are not toxic and who have your best interest in mind. You know, that's really important. And I completely forgot what the other one was. You had said something and I was like, yeah, that's important. It came up when you said the safe word was pumpkin, but whatever, I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, so this was really awesome. Thank you so much. This
absolutely.
I'll tell you, and I mean this in the best way, this was nothing like any other recovery story that I have had so far.
Oh, thank you, Leslie. That makes me feel good.
You are welcome. It was really cool. And it's like as addicts, a lot of us, even if we're like the coolest person in the room, because let's say we have money or we have all the drugs or we have, you know, whatever, and everybody wants to talk to us, we still do not feel like we are fitting in.
Oh yeah, no.
Something is still missing, you know? And so it's like,
I definitely don't want to look like I fit in my recovery either.
well, that's the thing. It's like,
where I just don't care what people think of me, because I cared so much not in my addiction what people cared, people thought about me, because I was at war with myself. And so it's very empowering, finding that strength to love yourself in your recovery, to not just to overlook, but to come to terms with the mistakes you made, with the poor choices you made, and to love yourself in the wake of it. It's very healing.
Right. And there is, it's, you know, like I was saying, somebody's story might be like 15 minutes long and you're like, huh. And somebody's story might be like total lifetime movie material, but that one resonates with the person watching, not this one, you know? And there is some guy out there sitting in a squeaky hat going, nobody understands me. Nobody's got a recovery story like I do, who walked the Appalachian Trail like to get sober, and you're gonna pop up on YouTube. Like
10 would not recommend.
Right. Oh, another like story like that is The Way. Have you seen The Way?
I have not, but I've heard so many good things about it.
It's really good. I am not big, and I think this is like part of my, like, I don't know, some of the recovery stuff that I'm still working on. I don't like the feels. I don't like TV shows and stuff that made me go, you know, and just, oh my God, I can't believe they killed off that character. You know, her mom's dying of whatever, and her dad is, you know, abandoned them and went to China. I don't know. But The Way is absolutely like his son. I can't remember where he's hiking, but he was hiking. And it's Emilio Estevez is the, I think, producer and director. I can't remember, but Martin Sheen. Yeah, Martin Sheen. It plays his dad. They weren't talking. The son died. And I'm not giving anything away. This is the very beginning of the movie. Okay. This is the premise. The son died on this trail. And so the dad, who is this affluent lawyer or something like that, picks up and takes the journey his son was trying to take, and learns so much more about himself, his son, and life, which is the absolute perfect movie that I would never want to see, but it was. I watched it and it was so good. I'm like, this is so beautiful.
I love the movies that hit me in my feels.
I know. Definitely. A lot of people do. And I will like sit there and laugh cry. Because I'm like, this is so stupid. I'm crying.
It's a good way to cope. You're like, I'm so glad I'm not going through this, but I feel like I am.
Right. I'm so annoyed at myself for crying. This is fiction. But it's really, that's a good one. That is definitely, if you like the feels, but you also like meaningful, like a movie that actually has meat, you know, meaning in it, that's a good one. It is.
Thank you for the recommendation.
And I will check out Trevor Hall. Trevor's. Oh, darn it. All right, that's it. I'm writing it down. Thanks for nothing, brain.
I swear, like, there's only so much that I can process in a day in my recovery, just because, like, if I try and think about it all, it's overwhelming.
Right. I had the T right. It may have come up.
Yeah. It may have.
No, there's probably like 3 million Travis Halls out there. All musicians.
Probably as many Trevor Halls.
Right. So, all right, I wrote them down. But thanks again. Sorry I got the time weird, but.
Oh, it's all right. I'm glad we made it work. Thank